Well, here we are. I want to congratulate you for being on time.
No drinking drinks in the hall. No eating food in the hall. No food in the hall. No entering school faculty only rooms in the hall. No looking at other people's luggage in the hall. No running in the hall. No stabbing people with pencils in the hall. No bullying in the hall. No violence in the hall. For you should know. When will you learn? Your parents think about this one. 30 seconds. 45 seconds. 60 seconds. 99 seconds. No drinking in the hall. No eating food in the hall. No escaping detection in the hall. No drinking more than the only room in the hall. No looking at other people's luggage in the hall. No running in the hall. No stabbing people with pencils in the hall. No bullying in the hall.
Bender. Crystal. Good. Maybe you'll learn a little something about yourself.
Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It's me, Mike Lepre, the King. It's Thursday night, October 5th, 2023 for the Math Geeks. I'm going to do it like this. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 5 minus the other 2. Oh, it's fucking 3. I got to redo that and think that over. Joining me as always for this legit paranormal show brought to you by legitpodcast.com is Sarah Parah Normal. How are you, Sarah?
You know, it's another great hour of talking to you, Mike, you know?
That has sarcasm dripping from it.
I was, doing that whole, if you don't have anything nice to say, just make something up.
Just be facetious. Yeah. There you
Yeah,
So tonight's show, to continue our journey of Paranormal 101. And I'll tell you why I like this show, because I find myself podcasting and hosting plenty of shows that are paranormal. And sometimes people just go into terminology, or they just go into things on such a high level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're talking about, and I want them to just break it down. So, I mean, the idea that we can take the whole paranormal experience and slow it down and give people better explanations or better expectations, I think will be helpful, because there's more to the paranormal world and being involved in it than just the paranormal, right?
Right. No, that's absolutely correct. I mean, especially when you're talking 101, so base level things, there's things that people don't even think of, especially if they're watching the paranormal TV shows. And that's part of the reason why I had written, when I started my team, I wrote a 58-page manual that includes things that I had learned that I had found helpful along the way for the very basics. So I was like, you know what, why don't I just bust this out? We can start going through it. I'm thinking we can even offer it to people that subscribe to the website. If they want a copy of the handbook, I'd be more than happy to provide that. But for those that are watching, let's start it.
Let me ask you this, though.
Hmm.
So why do paranormal shows, why are they the easy go-to blame, the scapegoat? Like, in other words, everyone who talks paranormal, they'll always say,
Right.
It's this, it's that, it's that. It's not like those TV shows.
Yeah, because it's not. That's why. It's just, it's edited. So people have to remember that a lot goes into investigating that's not being shown. And I think those of us, especially those of us that do residentials, are so tired of them, because the expectations that people have after watching this programming. I mean, I know people that have been on the shows, they leave things out. Some of it's scripted. I'm not saying that they all flat out fake evidence. Some of them do. I'm not going to name names. So it's
That's
just
the thing.
important. Yeah.
That's the thing. What you just said right there. So here's a question, a one-on-one
Mhm.
question. What shows have you seen that would be a better representation of, sorry about that, of the real paranormal? And for the record, what did I tell you before the game about who would not lose just based on the fact that Dick Buckus died?
The Bears.
Yeah, and what's the score? Do you know the
The
score?
Bears.
You know what the score is?
I don't know. No, guys, I'm
Right,
paying
well,
attention to our shows.
Yeah, I know, but really quick, I'm just going to say this because I love when I'm right, which is a rarity. But I got to make sure that I pump it
I
up when I
hadn't
am.
noticed that you love when
Yeah,
you're right.
it's. I think there's like 8 minutes left in the half, and it's
Yeah.
20-3 Bears. There you go. If you're betting money, listen to me. Sarah, before we get into your book, though, I brought in. I scoured is the word. All the different universities for a like a professor to join us. So joining us is Dr. Rick Lysick, Professor Rick Lysick. Rick, how are you, sir?
Professor Rick. What an
It's
honor.
wonderful. It's wonderful
Wow.
to be here with you guys.
Rick,
That-
Rick looks like a paranormal professor right now. Like exactly like
Rick, he's scary looking right now. He's
He-
got like this
he-
like vibe to him that's like he'd play
A
Hall and
paranormal
Oates while he
professor?
beat you up.
Yeah.
He'd play Hall and Oates while he beat you up. You know what I mean? All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, Professor Rick, what we're about to do, Sarah has written a paranormal investigator's handbook.
Awesome.
So, as a new investigator myself, or someone that's would consider a newbie, shall we peruse this document? Sarah, if you want to read along to it, or do you want me to read along to it? Because that might not go well.
I don't think we need to read the whole thing, but I can sort of just quickly go over. I wrote it, so I know.
Team title comes up first. Explain to me.
This is something we had given to our team, so it's not necessarily the name of the team because the team was already named. It is the title of your position on the team. So we have different positions listed here that we were looking to fill. We had historians and case managers. We had a tech crew. We have our mediums. We had data collectors. And data collecting is such a boring job that we would rotate that through. So not the same person had to do it every time. So those are the persons keeping track of EMF readings, temperature readings, keeping time, all that type of stuff. We had someone doing public outreach, social media, and webpage. And then we had evidence review, which everyone had to do. And this isn't even just this doesn't even cover investigating. These are the additional tasks that people had outside of actually investigating on a case.
All right.
Just stuff that has to get done.
I'm not a big fan of if you don't feel comfortable. Like that phrase with your assigned title and want to work on something different, talk to team leaders. With how that reads to me is if you're gonna bitch, piss and moan about what you're assigned to do, talk to team leaders. They'll tell you why you're doing it, why we need someone to do it. And if you really, start to gain a little seniority in this group, maybe we'll move you up to like tech crew. You know what I mean?
I was the team leader. So, they're going to talk to me and I wrote it. So I'm writing it in a way because you want everyone to feel comfortable and involved and you want them to play their talents, but you also want them to learn how to do new things, if that makes sense. We didn't have anyone complain when we assigned people because we assigned them based on their experience, not just paranormally, but, what they did for work in life and what their talents were.
So play to people's strengths.
You play to people's strengths. Yeah. Not everyone can do everything and not everyone will like everything. And the thing we need to remember that being a paranormal investigator is a voluntary position. So people aren't going to voluntarily show up to do something they hate.
Mm-hmm. Professor Rick, your thoughts on this?
I like it. I like it so far.
So far, Professor Rick likes it. He likes it so far.
Wow.
Do I
So-
get an A?
No,
so
not
far.
yet. You can't. Yeah. You can't. How do you
Ten
grade
gold
something
star?
on the first?
Sarah,
time?
we all start with an A, and it's up to you to lose
Do
points.
you guys remember when you used to get those stickers in school that would like smell like something good? The
Oh,
scratch and sniff.
sniff. Yeah.
Oh, those are the best. I love the strawberry ones.
They actually made skunk.
They did not.
No, oh
Mhm.
God, yes, they did. There
Mm.
was actually a scratch and sniff book that I had where it was,
It was
a
all
skunk.
gross smells. Yeah.
And you know what's funny is they nailed the skunk smell. Nailed it.
I smell that skunk smell around Block Island here and there.
Scratch and sniff was ahead of its time. That's a story for a whole other time.
Okay,
Like that,
we'll
it
do a
was
scratch and
way
sniff
ahead of
podcast.
scratch and sniff was way ahead of its time. It was bringing senses in that was all right. Equipment review, breakout groups for team leaders, type of experiments used on investigation. You put modified Gansfeld and then Emilio Estes.
No.
No Emilio. My bad. I just added that. It's a modified Gansfeld Estes.
Yes.
Explain.
So these are just kind of giving us a guide of things we might do during the meeting. They don't have to go in this order. They don't go in order of the handbook necessarily, but we set some time aside during so if a team leader wants to use this handbook, it's a good time to go into breakout groups and sort of go over equipment with people one-on-one, and then talk about the experiments that we typically do. So the experiments we typically do is a modified Gansfeld. And the reason we call it modified is because it was not designed to be done in the field. It was designed to be done in a lab. So we'll end up getting to going over that, but that's the one where you would, what you're doing is you're honing all of your senses in on set stimuli that is not changing. So that's why you wear the goggles with sort of like a see-through shield over them. So you can see a red light that's in front of you and you focus on that and you listen to one white noise. That is stimulus for all your senses that is not changing. It's going to be static the whole time. And it puts you, if you're receptive to it, into sort of a trance-like state. And people do pick up relevant information on cases using that technique.
So question, what made you go right to that technique as your go-to technique?
What made us go right to that technique?
In other words, yeah, like that's your technique that you're telling people that read this. This is what we do, right? Why is that what you use? Like, what is your experience that you're like, yeah, this is what we should use?
It was brought to me by Heidi and Mikey, who came onto the team, and sort of right away, the first time I did it, I found myself very receptive to it. I really liked it. It helps me, whereas I'm very resistant to call myself a medium. I don't read people. I don't try to have mediumistic tendencies, but I open myself up to it when I'm doing this, and it gives me a good way to sort of control when that's going to happen. So I like it a lot. And
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. I just kept doing it more and more. Rick's going to be doing it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think it's a good method because the controls are set too. You know, that there's no auditory that you're going to be hearing besides the white noise. You know, they're not going to be seeing anything besides that red light. Where if it's like the Estes method, well, not even the Estes method, but like if you were just using straight up spirit box, you know, there's just so much going on, on the periphery that you can, your focus is what you need it to be.
And it's interesting, Rick, because not everybody picks things up the same way. So because you're looking at the red light, some people see shadows or they start to see visions. Some people hear something through the white noise. Some people hear it in their head. Some people hear it as if someone's just like standing behind you, whispering. Like things are shown to you and you hear things in a different way. It's kind of different for everyone. In fact, I've experienced it different ways. Every time I've done it, I've experienced extreme pain in my body, like extreme to the point where I'm crying, or that I've almost actually passed out. So I tend
Sounds
to
like fun.
You know what? It's not always fun, but the goal of doing these things isn't just to put yourself out there, usually for like, hey, it's a good idea. I'm going to go like feel like crap or see something really sad or see something really scary. Most of the time that I've done this, it's been in someone's home where they're really experiencing a problem and you're trying to get to the bottom of what's going on, and actually getting communication from spirit is still the best way to do that.
Okay, but so from my point of view, it sounds like it's a more extreme, intimate, more put yourself in the line of fire sort of method.
Honed, I think, is probably a better word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word honed. I would use line of fire. Like,
I have, and Rick, just because we're going to be doing this in a few weeks, I have gotten marks on my body. Bruises, needle marks, things have manifested during this that were not previously there. We've picked up. I've been doing this in one room and my team's been in the other room. So you're always monitored when you do the gun spell because it is kind of dangerous and you shouldn't do it on your own. So what we usually would do is we would set up a FaceTime call and I would have the phone in front of me in the middle of the ring light so that the team could see me in the other room on the other end of the call. And they have gone like they could hear whistling, knocking, banging, talking in the other room, like loudly while I'm doing the method, which is just odd. And we've caught EVPs on there that weren't, they're not me talking because you're not hearing anything. They're recording, but you're only hearing what I'm saying. And you can just hear whispering and whistling as if someone's standing right behind me the entire time. It's crazy.
Awesome.
Okay.
Excited,
right.
Mike, to do this?
No, I'm trying to write down what's confusing me so that I can
Go back to
ask
it.
questions.
Okay.
Notes for investigators. This is just the.
These are different kinds of cases, and then how to conduct investigations, or the best way. So how we wanted investigations to be conducted, and then what inspired me to kind of even pull this up, I'd kind of forgotten about it, was that Mike, you and I talked about like a list last week, and I was like, I know I have these interview questions somewhere and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's in the handbook. So under like conducting interviews are all the standardized lists and questions that we would ask or we would have people fill out. And it's a lot.
Yeah, I can't believe you wrote a handbook. First off, that's just a lot. And here we are at the table of contents. Kinds of spontaneous cases.
Mm-hmm.
What case is not spontaneous?
They're all spontaneous. What that means is basically in the field. So if you're trying to conduct an experiment in a lab, you're expecting something to happen. So this would be any type of case where someone calls you and it's happening out in the real world.
Something that's not already been studied and established. It's somebody has a problem.
Right.
That's spontaneous.
Right, because this is all based on parapsychology again. So parapsychologists do experiments in labs. So if they have a psychic experience with somebody in a lab, that's not spontaneous because they were trying to promote a psychic experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I have another question.
Okay.
Why do you not want to have the word medium attached to your name, or why is it that most people do not want to have that word attached to the name?
That's kind of personal. That's a really good question. Like, it's personal because for me, like right now, where I am in my journey, you doubt it. And I don't know that people talk about how weird it is, you know, where you're like, did I see that? Is this in my brain? Is this real? Like, and it takes a really long time to trust it. And even sometimes when I'm doing the experiments, I don't say something that I later find out is relevant because I'm just like, no, I don't want to, you know, is that
Are you basically saying that in the paranormal world, if you talk too much game, it's kind of like the rap world where the guy who's saying all this stuff is really nothing.
Yeah, I don't want people. I don't need. Look, if you say you're a medium, I feel like there's a big responsibility attached to that, especially if you're in someone's home giving them advice.
Yeah, but well, that's different. If you're in someone's home and giving advice, Rick, what are your thoughts on the whole medium thing as a professor?
I have a long, complicated relationships with mediums. It's like I said, it's long and complicated. I think everyone has an innate sense. I've gotten so depressed and so angry at people taking money from hurt people, that for a while I poo-pooed the whole, even the word. I've gotten back to the point where I know people have gifts and can harness those gifts. I'm 1,000% skeptical of people taking money for that.
Me too.
All right, so money is different.
Yeah.
I agree. In the house is different.
Sorry, that's the ghost phone. The ghost phone is ringing. So you just hit the mute.
Well, you are a professor, so you must get called around the clock.
Professor Ghostbuster.
So I get it when money's involved. I get it when someone's house is involved.
Right.
But now I don't ever discuss myself because no one really cares. But what if I said, well, I think that I'm a medium. I've always been a medium. I just don't. I don't want to tell people stuff. Like if I can say that, but you don't want to add it to your name. How bad is it? I guess I'm trying to figure out seriously how bad is that?
I don't think you're a medium because you might have the gifts. You might be more in tune on those gifts than others, but you're not putting yourself out there as a medium.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm saying you could have all the same stuff that goes on with somebody else who calls himself a medium. But you're labeling yourself, and then like Sarah said, that comes with great responsibility.
Yeah, I don't want it's like a lot of pressure, right? And the thing about taking money in the paranormal field, so whether you're an investigator, whether you're saying you're a medium, taking money almost it binds you to finding something or having something. Like, have you ever paid a medium and they're like, "I got nothing."
All right.
You know,
right. You're bringing money. You're bringing money back into it. What I'm saying to you is, so you're saying that mediums can read people's thoughts. They can see 3 steps in front of them.
That's not necessarily.
They can hear things. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So there's psychics, mediums, and clairvoyants, and there's even different types of clairvoyance. They can't all do everything. I'm very skeptical of people that say they can do everything. Like, man, psychics will often, and that's one of the types of spontaneous cases, have some type of precognition, and they might be able to sort of like read people's thoughts. A medium is talking to the spirit world, right? And they're getting their information from spirit guides or whatever they want to call them. Clairvoyants sort of work the same way, where they're sort of connecting with another power, and they're talking to clairvoyants. And mediums would be the people that you would bring in to an investigation because they would be the most capable of speaking with someone who has passed on. A psychic isn't necessarily speaking with the spirit world. They're dealing more with like living people, reading their energies, their auras, that type of stuff. If that helps.
Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of makes sense, and it kind of, well, not 100%. And I don't want to be stuck on the table of contents for the whole show, but I'm afraid I might. My theory is that people in the paranormal world that profess their skills and talents and they want money for it, they get to a level where they believe like they deserve compensation, because they sit with you for an hour and they read you and they kind of tell you what you want to hear, and they maybe say some words that lead you into things.
Yeah, and then watch your face. Yeah.
So medium is a tough word for me because psychic, and then because you always hear psychic medium.
I know.
It's like they go right. It's like hot dog, hot dog. Like it's psychic medium. Like I always hear that phrase said. So, medium is a bad word. What about witch? Because I know you dabble in that. But is that something that you also don't want to tell a customer or client? Oh, I'm a medium and a witch.
I have no problem saying I'm a witch. Like there's no pressure on me there. That's something I do. It's my own personal practice. I'm a secular witch. It's not my religion. However, when I'm going into someone's home, I want to respect their beliefs. So I know, like they don't, I don't need to disclose my personal practices to them. I'm not going to do witchcraft in their home unless they are also believers of the craft or they practice the craft, and that's something they would find comforting. If that makes sense. Like that's more of a personal choice. Like that's not a label that has anything to do with me as an investigator. I think witches make good investigators because they tend to be in touch with the world around them and a lot of their senses. And they, dabbling in magic is just a little bit about harnessing energy.
But labels are important, right? When starting in the world of this, because what we're saying is that no matter what you feel or what you think, it's better to not say certain words and attach them to yourself.
Right.
Because you don't want to confuse the client even more or make them think that maybe you're a whack job. No offense, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you're like, I'm also a witch, a medium, I've seen Bigfoot and I've talked to ghosts, they might go, yeah, I don't want you at this house.
Well, I mean, I've talked to a lot of clients. I don't know. Rick, have you done residentials?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, they've said way crazier stuff to me first, most of the time. Not I don't think they're crazy. I believe them, but it's just like something the average person would be like, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's more has to do with if they are a devout Christian and I come in saying, I practice witchcraft. They're going to
burn her.
Yeah.
What do you do with the witch?
Turn me into a newt.
I got better.
They will say things like, oh, someone practiced witchcraft and therefore there must be a demon in the house, where the witchcraft I do is more like, I don't know, it's sort of manifestation. It's like meditation, but with just some different aspects. Like I use a lot of candles and herbs and essential oils. So
can you see though the hypocrisy a little bit in the fact that witch is like, oh yeah, I can say witch, but demon, no, can't say that because then they're gonna you're saying that people that have a Catholic belief, Christian faith, whatever it is, they don't want to hear the word witch, whereas everybody else doesn't want to hear the word demon.
The reason that is, Mike, and honestly, I've been thinking about this because you never bring it up every single show.
Not me, not this guy. I don't want to try to prove a point.
It has become in the field such a triggering word just because those of us that are dealing with clients, we have to deal with the everything's a demon thing. And a lot of that has to do with, I'm going to go back to TV and certain shows and I'll say Ghost Adventures because it's freaking ridiculous, where everything is a demon. It's just, and as we talked about in the last show, these could all be the same type of things. I've had several cases where people thought that there was a demon and it ended up being extraterrestrial. So are we all talking about the same thing? Yeah, probably. But if they are a devout Catholic or Christian and they're using the label demon,
well, that's the language that they know.
Then you just use it because you're not going to get them to change their language. You're not going to get them to change their entire belief system, and you can't really.
What's the greatest trick the devil ever pulled off?
to make you think that they
I don't
didn't
know. I just
that,
used
that
that
it didn't
song.
exist.
To convince everybody that he didn't exist.
Yeah, there.
So wouldn't that be the same with demons? Wouldn't a demon want
Well,
you to
I
be
mean,
like, oh, that's religious. That's religious. It doesn't exist. Like,
well, every religion, Mike, has that
Yeah.
yin to their yin. You know what I mean? Every religion has their, whether it be their witch doctor, their exorcist, their, you know what I mean? Every religion has that warrior that fights the other side, whatever name you put on it. So it could be it could all be the same thing. We're just putting different labels on it.
It's my issue with that. Why I bring it up every show when someone they cringe or they jump from it is because I do believe in just bad energy. I believe that there's positive that's working and there's negative that's working. I think that everything is, as Rick put, yin and yang. It's there's always that there. So just because you're religious, I guess my problem is that I just separate stuff immediately and I don't consider it attached to a religion. But I do believe in bad, like evil. There is evil, like there is bad intent. There are things that aren't quite what they seem. I'm one of those people that believe in the eternal struggle, like that you're constantly in a battle of good and evil within yourself, within around you. And to say a demon is just like a nightmare in my book.
But
it's something that's just bad that's trying to get you to. Go ahead, Rick.
I think the standard definition of a demon, as I was just saying in the last show, it's that evil that you're talking about, but it's never been a human. It's never been human form.
Exactly. I agree with that. It's just, but it would take or pretend to be.
Sure.
That's in his book of tricks, right? Like that's what bad would do. It would convince you that it's something very innocent, very friendly.
Or I'd just be like, I'm a badass, and here I am.
Could be that
And
too.
The thing is, though, that we're starting to uncover, not just me, but a lot of investigators, is that also extraterrestrial encounters mask themselves as ghosts, and they will mask themselves as something paranormal. Because it's easier than masking themselves as something human, or they're trying to look human and it just looks incredibly scary. The image with the top hat, I don't know if you guys have heard about people seeing that ghost.
No, you froze when you said it went with a top hat, and I didn't hear what the first part was.
The tall man with the top hat, that figure that children often see outside their windows.
Slender Man.
Yeah. There's been reports of those showing up in almost all of reported like UFO sightings and abduction reports and every case that we've had recently that's had extraterrestrial activity someone has seen that figure. So that's a common figure that was considered, ghostly or possibly a demon that we're now associating with. Even MUFON is associated with.
Is that the same? Is that the same thing that people see when they are experiencing sleep paralysis? I know there's a pretty standard.
They can see that when they're experiencing. Yeah, they kind of experiencing that when they have sleep paralysis, which is even more interesting, right? Because then they're probably being abducted.
Right there,
So it's just interesting. It appears, and we get drawings from children in which this figure appears a lot. So it's kind of interesting that it's popping up more and more now that this sort of extraterrestrial stuff is on the news more and more.
So
got way off track.
As a brand new person to all this, I buy the whole tie-in thing, but as a not new person in this, who's listened to people talk about their experiences forever, not forever, a couple of years, they always seem to want to rule out bad. Like you'll get like paranormal investigators that are like, oh, it's only good things that I talk to. I cleanse myself and I put this shield around me. and I only talk with good things. Good things. Like they really say that to me over and over and over. And I'm always like, you're not worried about a bad thing coming home or a bad thing sneaking in? And they're like, no. Well, my spirit guide, which is it not selfish to believe that you have a very own spirit guide that may be like a god because spirit guide's not like this guy named Paul. It's like, oh, my spirit guide is like the archangel. Oh, my spirit guide is Sarah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, isn't like when people tell you they have a spirit guide, that's not the ego.
I mean, I think definitely, I think we'd be foolish to think that we maybe aren't putting a mental picture on something that's guiding us. Either it's showing itself to us that way or we're projecting something onto it. So the reason I like studying parapsychology is it explains human reasoning as well. So yeah, the ego, exactly like you said, there is a need to feel special and important. So we might say, this God or this famous person is my spirit guide. I don't doubt people are experiencing it that way, but go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Rick, were you asking a question or?
no, I was sort of chiming in. I don't want to blanket say no. It's just ego. I mean, there are certain look at Native American religions. Vision quests. They have gone on these things, and somebody's taken them through these journeys. I mean, it's I don't know if it's their own personal guide, but I don't want to poo-poo the whole everything.
But what I would say is if it's all connected.
No, I
right?
believe in the spirit guides. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, I don't. So here's why. If
You
it's
don't
all
believe in
connected,
spirit guides at all?
No, I do, but hear me out. I do, in the sense that there's something guiding you, but we're talking about labels and religions and different ways of saying things. End of the day, we're all praying or whatever towards the same whatever. It just is,
Sure.
right?
I agree.
So, spirit guide to someone else is just something to someone else and someone else. It's all your perception and what you. I want to take a survey of people that have spirit guides that have never heard of their spirit guide before they name their spirit guide. I want to hear one person be like, yeah, my spirit guide is this guy named like Stan. Never heard of him. And I found out about him. And wow, he did a lot of things. That's my spirit guide. No, it's always like, my spirit guide is like King Tut. Oh my God. The guy that ruled Egypt. Oh my God. It's always like that. So I'm always like, is it not all the same stuff? If we're saying it's all connected, then aren't all spirit guides somewhat just the same energy coming out? And then it's your head that's the speaker and is it interpreting it?
That's
Sure.
possible.
And what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? You are putting a name on something. I'll tell you that JK47 guy that was on the Clip show.
Jonathan, one of the dudes. Yeah.
He was fascinating to me, and the way he talked about his guides, it was actually a relationship that it seemed that it was developed and through a lot of work. You know what I mean? It's not like my spirit guide Tim just told me to come walk down. You know what I mean? Walk down the path.
But working with that, like working with a spirit guide the way that he does, he buys into it, and therefore it is that person, is that guide, it is that entity, and he just continues with it, and that's how he makes sense of what he's reviewing, right?
Sure.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's Sarah.
Right,
Are you frozen? You were frozen with your finger in your eye for about 2 minutes. I really thought you were looking for contact, but your internet is breaking up. You were like this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on with her eyes? She's wearing glasses. How can she be wearing contacts? No, but
I am wearing contacts and glasses, actually.
Oh boy. What I'm saying is though,
you
don't see like how you don't see the hypocrisy when people say like, yeah, it could be all connected, but here's my own spirit guide.
I
understand what you're saying. I think that like we've got to like say too, again, this is things that like we as human beings have to put labels on things. A lot of this, if you study Buddhism at all, a Buddhist would call it a teacher or a master, ascended master. A Christian or Catholic might call them a saint or an angel. We are sticking labels on everything. I understand what you're saying is everyone's connected, but I have this personal special guest. Now, I think.
But why not? That's my question. Why
not? Why not? And if that's what you want to believe and that's what helps you, it's not really hurting anybody other than the fact that, Rick, I would disagree with you in the fact that if you're saying you're a medium and you have a spirit guide and they're like some famous person, that worries me because
oh yeah. No, I know absolutely.
You need to feel
1,000% on that.
Yeah, you obviously need to feel special in some type of way because Cleopatra and Joan of Arc and all these people, are your spirit guides. Like, I'm like, why do you need to have that? And even why do you have to tell people? Like, if my spirit guide was someone really famous, and I thought that, I'd probably be like, I'm gonna sound like an idiot. So I am just gonna say it's Stan. Because I don't want people to judge me.
But you understand what I'm trying to say? Like somebody like Joshua, who's doing his same thing like all the time, and he is connecting with the same entity, we'll call it. He calls it spirit guide.
Several.
And there's I love his stuff. And there's that relationship that they developed. That to me seems possible.
Is it fair? Then let me pose another question. Have you seen those memes where people are like, and there's my guardian angel, like what now? Is it fair to put ourselves in these situations where we're opening up to things over and over and then just asking our spirit guide to protect us every time? Like if I'm the spirit guide, I'm be like, look, ass, I'm tired. Can you just stop doing this stuff? Like it seems like it's putting a lot of responsibility on the spirit world when we should be taking responsibility to protect ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what if they're just working together?
They could be.
What if it's not, you know what I mean? What if it's not like you need to protect me? It's a relation. And that's sort of what I gather from his stuff. It seems like they are just sort of working together.
Sarah, I'll go one further with you on that. People will pray to their parents and stuff like that. Like, that's also kind of selfish in the sense that like your parents passed away. Well, look at the way she froze right now. Does that not describe her opinion? Did you just see that? Oh, Sarah, when you see how this one's good too.
This one is good.
The first one was better, but this is good too. Let's see
when she comes back. When she comes back, just freeze.
Yeah. Nope, still not back. She looks like she's like, what? No, what are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? Let me hold on.
Can you hear her, Sarah?
Hold on. Wait, hold on. No, she can't. But I want to do this. What? What are you saying? What? What, Mike? What? Right?
Oh,
look at that. Look, she froze like that. Look. All right.
Internet.
Yeah, there is your internet. You have a great frozen photo of yourself, though, that just doesn't look happy. It's like, what the are you trying to tell me? So anyways, Sarah, we'll go with your frozen photo. If maybe you want to back out, come in. Let's see. Did she change on this at all? Nope. She's still frozen. Nope. And she's not actually coming on, Rick. Look at this. Suddenly,
I'm always on the bottom.
Professor Rick, and there is no guidebook. Rick, here's my issue with all this. This is what I've been saying. It feels like people will put labels on stuff if they think that they're not going to catch any grief for it. But they won't use labels when it seems like they should put that label on it, when they think it's going to attach something negative to how people view them. Like my issue with the paranormal world is that people will say what they think that you will accept as opposed to the just some people just flat out tell the truth and they're not liked by everybody, but at least you're getting like this. Whereas I don't know if I'm a fan of like telling the client just what they need to hear. Because I don't know if that's your decision to tell them what they need to hear as opposed to what's really happening.
I thought you were going to get to that with on the clip show when the guy said that he didn't show those people that clip with the grr on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seemed like he was making the decision whether or not those people should hear that.
I didn't want to press him on that, but that's exactly.
No, I didn't. But I definitely picked up, that it wasn't really up to him. So Sarah, what I was asking just this. So like
I could hear you guys the whole time, by the way.
Oh, could you? That's good.
Yeah.
Wait till you go back and watch the video though of the two faces.
I don't want to.
Well, you'll see it in a clip that I'll send you.
No.
What we were just saying though was like on the last show, the clip show, when he was saying when Nick was saying he didn't tell the client that they heard this growl.
Yeah.
I'm confused as a speaker of the dumb. What is it a paranormal investigator's position to not tell people stuff when they think that it's not? But wait a minute, you're making a decision for the person. You're not giving them all the facts. You're now giving them positive information that will make them, whatever, as opposed to stuff that's just going to confuse them or upset them.
That's not why he didn't tell them, though. He didn't tell them because he's not sure that's an EVP. He didn't tell them because he kind of thinks that's him. That's why he didn't tell them. So I would give them the evidence, but if I'm not sure that it's actual evidence, then you can't do that because you're giving them confirmation of something you're not really sure of. I might say, look, I might have gotten an EVP, but it could have been me. I don't really know. But you don't realize that your name and your reputation is also associated with these clips and the evidence, and people are going to distribute this stuff to their friends because we give them a whole case file. And if there's EVPs, if there's videos, if there's any anomalies, they will get recordings and videos of those things in their case file. So I would not distribute that if I thought it could be me.
All right, but here's my issue. The term that you're sure of.
No, I mean, technically speaking, because I don't know if that's someone else speaking or if it's an EVP. I mean, we can't always.
But it was the issue of he didn't know whether it was his voice or not.
Right.
That's different.
No.
Like that's to me, that's different. Like if you don't know if that's your voice, like I don't know you guys, maybe because I've heard my voice so much on recordings. I know me when I hear me. I just know me. I know the sound. Like I just know me, and I especially know the way I would sigh like that, or growl like that, or whatever it was he did, or he heard. So my thing is, but in other words, so you decide what is like gonna pass for the client, as opposed to I'm not 100%. Like you're not 100% sure on anything. I don't think anybody could be. But you're saying I'm not 100% on this. It could be my own voice, so I will not present this. But see, as a client, I would want to hear that. I think I would want to hear everything. Rick, wouldn't you want to hear everything, good, bad, ugly, indifferent? Yeah,
you know what I mean? It could have been one of those things, could have had a little asterisk next to it. I think he said it when that clip played on. He said, that could have been me. I don't know why I would be making that sound. I mean, there's a growl. You heard a growl in the guy's living room or wherever. You know what I mean?
But Rick, even you said, did you have a camera rolling? And that was a good question because you should have a camera filming these things for that purpose. And also you should be tagging yourself. So, but we'll have a set of guidelines for what constitutes when you're taking EVPs. If those guidelines weren't followed, you might as well throw that session in the garbage. You can't use it.
Sure. You need as many controls as you can. I agree with that.
Yeah, it's evidence if you have your controls in place. If your controls are not in place, it's not evidence. It just isn't.
Yep, I agree.
Now, if I got that growl and there was other stuff happening, like EMFs are spiking, like usually when something happens, it's not one thing. Someone's feeling something, and then you notice that's why you record times. You get an EVP at the same time, or another piece of equipment is going off, and you notice that's the same timestamp as the EVP. Then you can kind of tell a little bit more. But if the controls weren't followed, and now the lights are going off in my room, what the hell is going on in my house? And I'm haunted right now.
Maybe the game.
Now you're freezing.
No, I haven't froze. Rick,
Yeah,
you
you
see me?
Yes, you did.
Hey,
I don't think I did.
You, Mike.
That's my new favorite. That might be a T-shirt. Yeah.
Let me ask you something.
I just opened the store. Go for
by the
it.
way, I've never heard.
I
that
saw
phrase.
it today. It looks great.
Never heard that phrase. Again, though, you listen to back when we have people on the clip show, right?
Right.
Do we not sometimes, if not always, once per show, hear something that maybe they didn't hear, and then they listen to it again and they go, maybe that is what I heard.
Right.
That happens almost every show, right?
It happened tonight.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you just go by what you hear and what you trust, you might be leaving out a lot of stuff because what you hear, you don't hear, I might hear, and you know what I mean. If you double check with me, I'd be like, oh, I thought I heard, fuck you, Mike, and play it back. I think that's my issue with withholding information. I mean, it's not withholding. It's just I'm not 100% on this.
Editing.
Yeah, I don't want to put this out because I don't know if it's one because I don't know if it's 100% real, but two, I don't want to damage, like you said earlier, my name. So it's almost like if it's not something that's rock solid, I don't want to put it out there because it might affect my name.
That's different than correct procedure was not followed and the controls were not in place. We are a scientific-based team, which means we follow the scientific method. So we have controls for everything. If the procedure is not followed, it's not valid evidence.
All right, but answer me this.
It's different than just saying the procedures were followed. Sure. I don't know what it said.
Sure. Answer this question.
Okay.
You're on a investigation. You're at a person's home, and the ghost spirit just comes right through to you and is like, Sarah, make sure you tell the guy who lives here, bibbity boppity boo, clown shoes.
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's happened.
No. A spirit has never said bibbity boppity boo, clown shoes. I guarantee that. What happens now if it says something that stupid? Do you now say, well, I'm going to look like an idiot when I go to Rick and I say, hey, Rick, by the way, the spirit in your house, it just told me to tell you bibbity boppity boo, clown shoes. And Rick's just like, get the fuck out of my house. Get out of my house. Go right through the door. Out. Like, I'm being dead serious because now we're talking about like that issue. So if you hear that, are you going to tell the owner that?
Yes.
What? You would have to. I have trouble again, still trusting myself, and I'm working with people on this, like well-known mediums that I've talked to, but we don't tell homeowners anything on the spot. It all goes in a report, and then we go over that with them. We don't say things right then and there. We put everything together.
If you really heard it though in your head, and it was crystal clear,
they're gonna die tomorrow in a car accident.
If you don't tell them bibbity boppity boo clown shoes,
I would say bibbity boppity boo clown shoes.
So you wouldn't be worried about how that.
No, I had it during a Gansfeld session where I didn't want to say it because it was just gibberish. I have the clip of it, and we gave it to them, and we've put it out there online because it's like literally gibberish. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It wasn't bibbity boppity boo, but it was just syllables. And we have the recording of the client on the other end of the phone breaking into tears because those are the voices he had heard during the same words he had heard during an abduction, but it wasn't a known language to any of us.
But Rick, it doesn't worry you at all that your reputation or your status and what people think of you is taken into account when doing investigations and relaying information on
You're
different.
twisting.
Wait, this is Rick.
Twisting my words.
Rick. I'm asking Rick. What do you think? So I'm being serious about that. Like,
What's your question? I'm not hearing what. Give me.
Sarah, do you know what I just asked?
Yeah, he's picking up on the fact that I had said you have to worry about your reputation. So our reputation is following procedure during procedural experiments, which are different than other experiments, which are more open to interpretation. And I had meant I'm not going to put out something where I've broken my own rules and procedures and controls because I need people to trust me and trust my team. It's not about how I look. I don't. Have you seen the recordings? I
No.
sing and I can't sing. I've sung on those.
What I'm saying
Thanks.
is there a area of gray that's interpretation that is different amongst paranormal groups
Of course.
that don't want to say certain stuff? I don't want to say I'm a medium. I don't want to say I'm a witch. I don't want to say I heard bibbity bobbity boo clown shoes because it's going to make me look bad. How much does that actually play into what's going on out there? Because I don't know about this stuff. I'm asking you, the investigator, like you know other investigators, how much of I don't want to damage my rep. So I'm not going to go with this.
I mean, where did they hear bippity boppity blue cloud shoes? Was that in my head, or was
Right.
that through a spirit box?
It would be more in your head because that would be the moral dilemma. You heard it clear. You know what you heard. You felt it. Sometimes things happen when you feel it. And you're like, it definitely did. I can't ignore it. If this was that serious in your head, you'd either think you're crazy or you really did just hear that. So you have to make a decision. Do I tell the person this? I'm just saying there's a level of interpretation within what you tell the client that I'm uneasy with.
I don't get voices in my head that say, tell the client, don't drive to down the driveway tomorrow. If I had a clear voice in my head saying, Rick, tell that person not to drive down the driveway tomorrow, I would tell that person with the asterisk of being, I don't get voices in my head. I don't claim to be a medium. This is what just happened to me. Take it for what it's worth.
All right, but you're giving actual valid information that doesn't sound very silly. Like what I'm trying to tell you is if that same
Absolutely
voice
not.
said
Absolutely
clown
not.
shoes, Rick, clown shoes, Rick, clown shoes, would you tell the person clown shoes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think
Because I don't get voices in my head that says, Rick, tell that person clown shoes, clown shoes, clown shoes.
So, Sarah, I guess what I'm saying is I believe Rick in what Rick's saying, but I don't believe that that's a universal thing.
No, it's not. And I think that that's also a part of maturity and doing this, like not all of this. So I wrote a handbook, but not everything comes in the handbook. So, I mean, that's what we can take from today. It's something you learn. You have to learn to trust yourself enough to say, yeah, take this for what it is, but this is what I heard. If it's gibberish, like I had the one time, it had to keep repeating it to me because I didn't want to say it out loud because I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah. That's awesome, by the way, Sarah.
Huh?
Can I say
That's
this?
awesome, by the way.
Yeah. It's
really, really cool shit.
I think if you're looking out for your reputation on any level in any facet of life, I think that's a bad sign. And that's a negative on what you're allowing yourself to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're saying what Sarah's saying is different. Sarah's saying that you got to have standards. You have to be professional. You have to have controls in place, which is all right. You know what I mean?
Oh no! I'm not saying Sarah's doing it wrong. I'm not saying you do it wrong. I'm saying, as me, speaker of the dumb, these are all questions we ask. That's why you can't get through the table of contents because we have so many questions. And one of the questions that I know is a big factor with the paranormal world is interpretation. Like he said it, like we couldn't prove that it wasn't my voice or not, so I didn't pass it on. And that was like to me, like I would have wanted to hear that. Like, you could have ran it by me. Like I know that you guys are investigators, right? But you're
Right.
not. Are you caseworkers?
Yeah, you are. You are working a case. And a lot of being an investigator when you're doing residentials is also looking out for the best of your client. And you have to know them well enough. Now, we've had clients that are so desperate to have something paranormal going on in an unhealthy way. If I had a mess of an investigation, didn't have my controls in place, and I'm like, I don't really know what it was, I might be hesitant to give that to them because they're not going to be discerning, and I know they're not going to be discerning.
Yeah.
So you are a caseworker. You have to be aware of people's mental health when you're doing.
So are you appeasing?
No, you're not appeasing. You do your best because, again, this is a, like you said, not provable, voluntary sort of mishmash. You're a therapist. You don't understand when you're doing residences. You become very close with these people in a lot of ways. And
That's probably a problem.
I have clients that can be messaging me until 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. They start messaging me at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, that's a boundaries issue. That you need to set boundaries. That's all.
I do. But you tend to feel for the people that are going through this. Like, you become emotionally invested.
That's where so that's where I get thrown off, because now we're throwing emotions into it and not being scientific. Because here's where I go with this. We've already said that, it doesn't matter what I believe in, whatever they believe in, you sort of tailor it to their beliefs.
I tailor how I speak to them, to their beliefs. They're not there during the investigation.
No, but is that not interpretation? In other words, if I'm breaking something down, you're a social worker.
You're a social worker. That's how you handle people. You are a social worker, basically.
But that's not investigating.
That's not that you're not investigating at that point. That's bedside manner. It's like when you go to the hospital and they ask you if you have a preferred religion. You have to have a bedside manner. People have to feel comfortable leaving you in their homes. They want to know that you're respecting your homes, that you respect them, that you respect their beliefs. You don't have people working with residentials that aren't good with people. And you can't speak with everyone on a very deep level where you're connecting with them. Like, usually it's just, I'm interviewing you.
I understand what you're saying. You make 100% sense. What I guess I'm saying is, Rick, you realize that what you're doing is you're taking information, digesting it, and then giving it to someone in a way that you think they will best accept it or understand it.
Not for case review.
Sarah, that was Rick's question. Rick?
I don't think that you should tell them what you think is happening. You should show them the information the evidence that you have. And I guess, the bedside manner is you try not to freak them out too much.
But you tailor it to their religion.
No, I don't tailor it. No, of course not.
You are mishmashing everything together. So there's a big difference between when you walk into someone's home, when you meet them, than from case review. In case review, we give them our honest opinion based on the evidence. It doesn't have anything to do with their religion at all. I'm talking about, when I say I'm going to consider their religion, it means I'm not going to come into their home with a black robe on, or what, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to present myself to them the first time I'm meeting them or coming into their home. Case review is, here is the evidence, here's the conclusion, here are the suggestions.
So in other words, you're not showing up and because they have like a picture of Jesus on the wall, you're not going, this is something that Jesus probably would have wanted.
No.
So you're not going there. All right.
No. I'm just respecting them, and they're also going to speak to me in those labels and those terms, which means I'm not going to correct them. I'm not going to be like, well, that's based on your Judeo-Christian beliefs.
So here's a question for you then. As far as respecting the game, would you say that I'm mishmashing things, or I'm saying things? Wait. Or am I saying things to get you to explain them?
However you want to phrase it, Mike.
Because I think
know
I
I'm
got a better
aggravated
explanation out of
with
you.
play.
I think I just got a better explanation out of you as far as the whole thing.
You
Is it right?
did.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I would
mishmash.
like to say the definition of mishmash is. All right, sorry. Professor's
You know
out
what?
again.
You look like you should have a keyboard in front of you.
I do play keyboard.
I know that though, and if you could play Aha,
Some Geddy Lee.
Take on Me. I love Take on Me by Aha. That's one of the best songs ever written.
See, I thought you were going to go Geddy Lee.
You look just like him. I wasn't going to go there, but you not just like him. You look like a younger version of him, but you know what I mean by you look like him. But no. Keyboard, I immediately think of for some reason that one riff in Take on Me. That
You guys are so old.
You know that song. Weezer covered it. So we did not make it past the
Table of contents.
That was my goal.
The whole table of contents.
That was actually my goal, and I could show you the notes later, but I checked it off. We didn't make it through it because you know what? I have to ask questions. I have to, and I have to poke at stuff for people to understand it just on a real basic level. Because every time we say something, someone goes, "Yeah, but why did you hold that back?" Or "Why are you making it this?" Because that's the questions we have. So I have to ask them. And like the thing is, it's there's a fine line when you go to someone's house between being completely honest and satisfying or making them feel safer. Because there's nothing wrong with either one, right? There's nothing wrong with someone coming in and just telling somebody the god awful truth, like just from A to Z. And there's also nothing wrong with someone coming in and being like, "I'm going to tell you A to K, and I'm just going to leave you feeling a little bit better so you don't, you know what I mean? Your life doesn't get worse." Because it's human nature. How do you leave somebody and just hit them with a bunch of bad stuff and walk away like, "Hey, I feel great, so I'm going home"? So that whole part of like how you feel about people, it bleeds into investigating. Like when police investigate, they don't get to know anybody. They don't want to know them like that. Right? They want to be like back here. In paranormal investigations, you're in their home on certain occasions if it's residential. You get involved with their life, so you have to have bedside manner, which means a correct way to say something to somebody, but it's not always 100% the truth. It might be 98, 99, but there's got to be that little 1 to 2% of sugar to make it go down.
I think a better analogy is like with the police investigating, but there also after that there is a trial phase. You know, they're two separate things. The investigating is one part of it, and then the presenting what you found is another part of it.
What I'm saying though is no one wants to leave a residential, I would think, by going, "Oh shit, it's haunted as in here." Like you
I don't think you do leave at that point.
No, you would go back.
So Sarah, help me though. You understand what I'm saying? There's a little gray area where there's interpretation. It's human nature. It's just not wanting to be a douche. Like you just want to leave the person a little more peaceful, or at least as peaceful as when you got there. No,
there is substantial evidence that someone's frame of mind, their psychology, their level of feeling in control affects their experience within the house. So when we're investigating, we have to remember, especially when we're in someone's home, that these are experiential things they're experiencing. So you can't discredit any of it, but you also have to understand you want their experience to be something where they feel they have control and safety in their own home. Now, if someone's very unsafe or we feel someone's very unsafe, there is a long thought process and a lot of discussion in the team about how to approach those people with that information.
So you have like a group meeting and you're like, how do we tell this person this thing? And some people are like, just say it. The people that have like that way of thinking, they just like, just tell them. And then you have someone being like, no, we can't say it just like that. We We got to hallmark it. We got to Lifetime channel it. We got to give it a little more like, here she goes.
Right.
And she's back. You got to give it more like you want to put some powder on the donut. I mean, you don't want to just give them the.
These are people's homes. Yeah, and like we've seen it all. We've seen people throw out large amounts of belongings that they own based on something a paranormal investigator said. We've seen people sell their homes. These are things that can affect people's home values. Like it can affect their lives in financial and practical ways as well. So you really need to,
So
it's complicated. It
you
really
have
is.
a psychology background, though, correct?
Not like I don't have a degree, but yeah, somewhat.
But it's where you kind of come from as far as your angle into paranormal.
Right.
Others do not. Others are hunters.
No.
So a hunter, I'm guessing their bedside manner wouldn't be as thought through and reviewed as an investigator's would. So again, speaking for the dumb, I worry about the interpretation part of stuff because
we should.
It's just how people are. So I personally, Rick, I don't know how you are. I would want to hear everything that was said.
Yes. But if I was in that situation, I was scared. I would rather have the person say, "Hey, here's the information. Here's how we're going to move forward," as opposed to, "You're going to die." you know what I mean?
But wouldn't you want to hear that though? Would you not be? Would you not?
Well, yeah, no. I would like to hear the. I would like to hear. There's a possibility you could die. Here are some actions we could take. Here are some. You know what I mean? Here are some moves we can make.
There is no evidence that anyone's gonna die from anything paranormal. Luckily, yet that we have.
I don't know.
In what instance has anyone died from the paranormal thing and not from their actions or reactions to the paranormal thing?
You're saying You're saying that people haven't died who have been suspected of possessions and stuff like that?
That's a reaction. They've died from the reaction to the paranormal thing. So they've died from the exorcism, not being necessarily possessed, which I don't know if I believe in. I don't know if I believe in anyways. So
I didn't die from the knife, but I died from the stabbing.
Yes, technically.
The pulling out of the knife.
Technically.
That's a weird way of phrasing things because you're trying to tell me that no one in the paranormal field
with a body not kill you. How can something with no body kill you?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you right now. Horses drop dead all the time from heart attacks and from fear. So some guy that's on an investigation, he's choking down a couple of hot dogs. He's just drinking Mountain Dew Red, by the way, and bang, something happens. His heart just goes, "I'm out. I've had enough of this. Like I'm done with the way you treat me." He's out, done.
That's the hot dogs.
No, that's not. You're going to say that that's not the paranormal's fault.
It was
how he reacted to it.
That's the hot dogs.
No. What I'm saying is, whatever happened in the paranormal world caused this person
scared the life out of him.
Exactly, to have a heart attack and die. Now you're going to say the paranormal didn't do that? It's his reaction.
There were a lot of factors that played into that, and I think you're making a perfect case as to why you don't want to go in and scare the shit out of people. You know what I mean? Because the anxiety and the fear will cause physical symptoms.
Yes, they will, and that's why I said there's nothing wrong with the other approach of. Well, I'll tell you like 95% of it, but I want to make sure that you're cool with how I talk about stuff, and I'll use your terminology. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying that there is this weird discrepancy where one's one way, one's the other, and you're saying people say there's nothing in the middle. There is. Like there's a lack of you're withholding information sometimes. Rick, any final words as a professor, as the dean of what is it, the School of Science?
School of it all. School of Hard Knocks.
School of it.
School of Hard Knocks.
I love this conversation that we had, and Paranormal 101. It fits right under that umbrella. You guys do excellent work on here. Yay!
You come
That's all
back
I want to say.
anytime, bud. You want to come back next week while we pick this up?
The professor's hours are flexible, so yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Sarah, anything you want to say to wrap up?
Yes. So we just launched a merch store. So that's on the website. It's also on Facebook and Instagram. Social media, again, is legitpodcast.com, spelled out. So spell it out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us everywhere. We plan on hopefully getting some raffles going. We'll give away copies of the handbook. And maybe get some other teams, investigators, to donate some stuff. Maybe get Sin to donate some of her books for a raffle. So that'd be cool. Put her on the spot.
Yeah, I got ghost tour stuff for those raffles too.
Awesome, thank you, Rick. See, Black Island ghost stuff.
And you should tell the people to send in questions to you guys, because
yes, absolutely. Because Mike said, he got the good answers out of me, which he knows he has to frustrate me to do. So he did a good job of that. But you can also submit questions to us on Messenger. You can email us at legitpodcast.com, spelled out DOTCOM @gmail.com. You can message Mike personally, as always, and tell him how much you love his beard.
No. See, I was waiting for you to stop talking, because I was immediately going to say, don't message me personally. Because I won't get. There's a good chance I may not get back to you, and it has nothing.
Blue dots.
Only beard related compliments, because you don't have to reply to those. You can just.
When you see a blue dot and the first couple of words are your beard, like wow, like that's ridiculous. Those are ridiculous ones. So I got to see why they're being so ridiculous. I guess if you want to get my attention, say something absolutely ridiculous. If it's something that I feel like is going to be a conversation.
Clown shoes.
Yeah. Clown shoes. I'll be like, oh, clown shoes. What do you mean? I say that all the time. I use that as a way to describe stuff all the time. But all right, I'm good.
That's me.
The thing is too is the channel has grown over Rumble, over 3 or 4 different YouTube channels, over the now 4 Facebook channels, and we're getting used to now getting questions asked and people reaching out. Well, you guys are getting used to it. Sarah, you're doing a great job with it. Sin's doing a great job with it. Myself, not really, but it's interesting because there are a lot of people who do speak for the dumb, like a lot of people that have basic questions, like because a lot of the conversations I end up with on these shows is like it's up here.
Yeah.
And we lose everybody that doesn't know already the terminology, the phrases, this, that, the other. And like even things that you were going over, I'm going to slowly make you retrack and explain better, because if you go back and listen to it, now you know what we're saying, or you're saying, I should say, and you're inside of like what an investigator deals with at a residential.
Right.
Because you're in someone's house. So that's like the first thing you learn kind of as a kid, be respectful in someone's house. You're not going to go in there and blow it up. And you know what I mean? So I think residentials are so obviously so much different, as opposed to like a public place, because then you don't really have to worry about people's feelings as much, right? You're not worried about how am I going to affect the people that work here. It's just more facts, I would think.
Yep. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure. It comes with a great emotional toll. So people should be aware of, aware of that. If they're going to get into doing residentials, you will get emotionally tired. There is a toll. You feel for these people deeply. Usually we're working with them over 3, 4, even 5, 6 months sometimes. So they often become very close to you. And the issues they're experiencing will take an emotional toll on you. So that's people have to make that decision for themselves, if that's for them. If it's something you can't deal with, hey man, no problem. It's probably better you don't, then, for your own safety and for theirs. So
because a lot of these groups, when they start out, right, when they start to catch a little bit of fire, they take every residential that comes in. And is that a good idea?
No, you should be very discerning about the residentials you take. That's why one of these days in the handbook, we'll get to the
Page 1
of interviewing. I think interviewing is like way down on page 30. So in 2026, when we get to page 30 of the handbook, we will discuss interview techniques and questions to ask before you take a case.
I'll tell you what, good job at the handbook, though, because now you really just give us a guideline to follow every week that we know we're never going to finish.
I know. Awesome. I should have thought of that. I should have thought of that months ago. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I do, but either way, good job. Professor Rick, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. I know the University of Science must be very demanding of your time. So let me wrap it up like this. For Sarah Parah Normal, for Professor Rick from Block Island, it's me. Mike Levery King, Mike L. This was Legit Paranormal 101, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. Tomorrow night, we will be bringing back, I think it's a repeat episode because he will be starting next week live. Daniel Benoit. It'll be Legit Bigfoot. He's a big Bigfoot cryptid guy from Virginia. He's one of the, I mean to disparage that he's one of the few cryptid Bigfoot people I listen to because he's just got a hunter's attitude to him. Like he's talking about like real time. It's different. But that's tomorrow night. Thank you guys all for watching. And by the way, the Bears are like up 30-11.